potato bulkers are a safe form of transport, provided good practices are followed. Brakes on, engine off, keys out of ignition. Take care when unsheeting in windy weather. Make sure that no one is in the way before throwing over the sheeting rope. Only enter a bulker using the ladder steps and doors provided. Check and sign that the bulker is empty, free from contamination and OK to load. The discharge door must be securely closed. Farm or store staff must load the bulker in a safe way and avoid damage to the load. When using a bucket load on the side away from the sheet roll, use the largest bucket and tip from as low a height as possible. Build up a heap of potatoes at one end of the bulker so as to allow the potatoes to roll gently down. No one must be in the bulker during loading. Do not overload. Ask the driver about his bulker load limits, look for load lines, and do not fill above the sheet support bars. Overloading a bulker puts people's lives and jobs at risk. Do not do it. Potatoes that fall on the ground must not be thrown into the load, but must be moved to waste. When loading with an elevator, adjust it to get the smallest possible fall. Build up a heap of potatoes at one end of the bulker to give the potatoes a slope to tumble gently down. Elevators should have drooping discharges and baffles. When moving the bulker or elevator to load further along, watch out for the sheet support bars. If the elevator hasn't got a drooping discharge or baffles, then a site staff member should use a cushion to protect the potatoes until a heap has been built up at one end of the bulker. Remember, they must use all the safety gear: hard hat, high-vis jackets, safety boots and gloves. Loading from boxes should be done over the side, away from the sheet roll. Tipping should be from as low a height as possible. Build up a heap at one end of the bulker to allow the potatoes to tumble gently down the slope. Boxes must be fully rotated before reversing away. No one should be in the bulker during loading. Before sheeting, make sure that the bulker is not overloaded. Drivers must not take overloaded bulkers on the road. It is dangerous and illegal. Loaded bulkers must be sheeted with insulate sheets to protect the load from hot or cold weather, spillage or contamination. When sheeting, do not use loading machinery to help. Check that it's all clear before throwing the sheeting rope over. Pull the rope with one foot placed behind the other, don't lean back, and don't allow anyone between you and the bulker. Secure the sheeting rope, sheet tight, ratchet, and check it all. Before leaving, the drivers must make sure that they have all the load documentation and delivery details, with a copy for the farm or store if required. If the load is delayed or parked up overnight and the weather is very hot or cold, then it should be parked in sheltered conditions. At the delivery site, the driver will need the load documents, and at FCPPA sites, the certificate from this disc. The bulker must have a current electrical certificate. When at the weight bridge, sampling point or unloading bay, brake on, engine off and keys out. Drivers and site staff should use high visibility jackets, hard hats, safety boots and gloves. Drivers must follow the site rules and instructions provided. The electrical certificate must be checked before unloading to see that it is numbered to that bulker, current and signed. Before unloading, an electrical earth test procedure must take place. During sampling, the driver must be out of the cab and in full view of the sampling staff. Sampling staff must work from the sampling gantry and never move about on the load. Site unloading staff are responsible for the safe operation of the unloading area and must be competent to do so. Using signals understood by the drivers, they must guide all bulkers that are reversing into the discharge bay. The discharge door must be fully open and secured. It must not be used to control the discharge rate. Discharge hoppers and elevators should be adjusted to give the potatoes the smallest possible fall. Before discharge, drivers must check that all belt guards are in place and secure. Site unloading staff are responsible for checking the power cables for damage. Damaged cables should be reported immediately and removed from use. Site staff must plug in and latch the power cable and the separate earth lead if there is one before switching on the main supply. The discharge may be automatically controlled by the power supply or may be regulated by the driver using the variable speed belt control or by starting and stopping the motor. The driver is responsible for watching and controlling the entire discharge. If the discharge stops before unloading is completed, the driver must try to free it using the means supplied by the site that avoids the need to enter the bulker. If the driver has to enter the bulker, then the belt must be switched off. Site staff must switch off the power and remove the power cable, hanging it up correctly. If there is a separate earth lead, leave it attached. A person in bulker sign must be hung over the control panel. Access to the bulker must be via the ladder steps or door provided. Never, never enter a bulker with the belt running. Someone must remain near the controls while a driver is inside. When the load is freed and the driver has left the bulker, the sign may be removed, the mains reconnected and switched on. The driver can then start and control the discharge. When discharge finishes, the driver must check that the bulker is clear. The belt can be switched off and site staff can turn off the power, remove the cables and store them properly. The discharge door should be securely closed. Drivers must check that all cables have been removed before they drive off. The bulker must be sheeted safely and securely. All load documents and weighbridge certificates must be completed before the bulker leaves the site. Bulkers should not be left on the site without permission. Thanks for watching this disc. I hope it's been helpful to you. From here, you can go on to take the test for the certificate. Just follow the on-screen instructions.